I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Well, it is official. Former President Donald Trump is the president-elect. He will return to the White House.
It is possible Republicans could have triple power with the presidency, the Senate, and we're still waiting to see who will have the majority in the House of Representatives. We're breaking down the election results in our big story today.
In fact, the historic election shifting the power in Congress, Republicans flipping the Senate with 52 seats to the Democrats at 42 seats. This is the first time Republicans have had control in at least 4 years. A key race in making that happen, the Ohio U.S. Senate seat. Trump-backed Republican Bernie Moreno, who won last night against incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown. That race coming close at the end, with Moreno winning by only 3.8%. Brown, a three-term Democrat. Both Moreno and Brown spoke after those results became official last night, and here's what they had to say.
And to the people out there in Ohio who didn't vote for me, just know that I will always advocate for you. I will always have your back, and I will work for the next 6 years to win you over. Because my responsibility is to the entirety of Ohio.
So tonight, nothing changes. I don't take off this pen. I'm not giving up on our fight for workers, and I know you won't either. Thank you.
Also, now that Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will be the next vice president, Governor Mike DeWine is tasked with choosing a replacement, at least in the short term. 13 Action News reporter Josh Krupp explains the process to replace him.
We're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
The process to replace J.D. Vance in the United States Senate starts with a former United States Senator. Governor Mike DeWine is now tasked with filling Vance's vacancy. DeWine served 2 full terms in the U.S. Senate before losing his 2006 re-election bid to Sherrod Brown.
I think I have a pretty good idea of what I think a United States Senator should do. And, you know, one of the main things is someone who works very hard and who focuses and represents their state and represents the country. You always also have to have someone who can get elected.
DeWine's pick to fill the vacancy would not automatically serve out the remainder of Vance's term. It runs through 2028. Ohio voters would decide who that person is in a special election in 2026. Whoever wins would be up for re-election in 2028. That's why DeWine said he wants to pick someone who can get elected, because in theory, they would have to win primary and general elections to keep their seat in 2 out of 3 years. Ohio voters have a history of picking against the candidate appointed by the governor. Ohio has had 5 Senate vacancies in the state's history. None of the 5 appointees would go on to win re-election. 2 of them even lost in the party's primary election.
And DeWine tells us he's met with people who want the job but didn't detail the short list, but it could include statewide office holders like DeWine's lieutenant governor or members of Congress. Former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy reportedly interested in that job, and former GOP chairman Jane Timken, who ran for Senate against J.D. Vance back in 2022, as well as State Senator Matt Dolan, whom DeWine endorsed in this year's Senate GOP primary.
As for who will control the House, we don't know just yet. Those results are still coming in. However, taking a look at the seats right now, it's trending. Republicans may take control. For Ohio District 9, Republican Derek Marin challenged longtime Democrat incumbent Marcy Kaptur just before 2 a.m. this morning. Kaptur's campaign put out a statement declaring victory in the race, though it is still too close to call. At this hour, she has a 0.3% lead. However, there are still thousands of outstanding absentee and provisional ballots out there. The Secretary of State's office says there are more than 14,000 still waiting to be added to that count. 13 Action News spoke with Marin last night as those results came in.
Whenever you're running against the establishment and incumbents that have more money than they do, they run more ads and stuff. But we did the best we could. I'm proud of the race we ran, and this isn't over yet.
Boards of elections have until Saturday to receive those absentee ballots. And at this point, we're still waiting to see how many of those provisional ballots will count. As for the House, dozens of key House races remain uncalled. It could be days or weeks before those results are official. Still, House Republicans and Democrats alike privately believe the GOP will maintain control. Of course, election season can bring out a lot of different emotions as well.
Whether you're happy or you're sad about those results, there are things that you can do to make sure you don't create anxiety for yourself or others. 13 Action News reporter Lisa Guyton spoke to an expert today. She joins us live with that story. Lisa.
Tina and Tony, coping after a big event like an election it can be life-altering for some. Experts say that is especially true if your political views have negatively impacted your relationships with friends and family, which in turn can affect your mental health. They add that social media often adds fuel to the fire. I spoke with Dr. Victoria Kelly, a Toledo Health psychiatrist. She says research shows that the rates of anxiety and depression go up significantly around election time and shortly thereafter. Dr. Kelly says it's important to start by taking a deep breath. Make sure you are getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising, and do not be afraid to ask for help.
Some of the big differences that we're facing now compared to maybe elections in the past is that our world has become a little more polarizing over time, over the past decades or so, and also the impact of social media. And if you notice that your life's starting to get impaired by this, let's say you're not sleeping as well, you're getting more arguments with people, you can't focus at work, you need to make sure that you're getting help and reaching out to the professionals.
Dr. Kelly also points out that no matter how you feel about the election results, we all need to be respectful and speak to one another like we would want to be spoken to. The old golden rule. I will have more on our conversation, including what to do as a parent, coming up at 5:30. Tina and Tony?
All right, thanks so much. Lisa Guyton reporting live this afternoon. And if you would like to know more about the election or if you missed some of those results, don't worry, we have you covered. You can find everything you need on 13abc.com. You can also look at the information on the 13 Action News app. It's a free download in your phone's app store.